In Pursuit of Truth Theater presents.
Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth Theater. I am your host, Sir Patrick Mac of Maplethorpe. The phenomenon that is QAnon keeps plundering on into the Ides of March, and the deep state continues their kerfuffling. It is like a clever game of chess, moves and counter-moves. Clever indeed, and quite unexpected, but the Q team also has a few trick moves up their sleeve.
I was not expecting that move. All right, kids. Well, this shouldn't surprise you. We've got a ton more Q to get through where we last left you at 3079. We're at 3080, 41 minutes after the hour of 10. We get this flag. We've seen this flag before. This time it's entitled Freedom_Justice. And I've always maintained that this thing plays tricks on my eyes. Every time I look at it, I feel like I'm seeing something else in this picture. I can't quite figure out what it is, but it does look like there's something encoded there. But we've seen this before, and I've suggested this is probably a place marker, and I think that may be the case. Now, I want to take you over to not just 8chan, but in particular, the Patriotsfight post-only board on 8chan, in which Q only posts. It doesn't take anybody else's comments. And you see the first post that we saw on this board here was from the 10th of November. And Q had said future comms, letting us know that some future comms, basically when everything else gets shut down, this would be a place where Q would still be able to post here. And now we might not be able to post here, but Q can. And then we got this gavel of justice here, and this was entitled Justice. And then later on that same day, Q referenced us back to a previous post, and this is where we saw another one of those place markers here, at least what I think is a place marker, by showing this flag. Then on the 12th of November, excuse me, we see all these placeholders here. And these are likely a lot of what's going to get declassed, but it looks like a lot of sealed indictments, right? Civilian, non-civilian. I'm guessing that's Supreme Court rulings, branch terminations, leaks, acts of treason, plus support articles, foreign acts, publications, Five Eyes, FISA, D-Class. I'm assuming that to be special counsel, and up here to be Supreme Court. But then we have all the OIG report findings, and then we see our post from today, which suggests that this is another particular marker. And again, that picture also plays tricks on my eyes, just saying, but that is the one that we saw from today. And I think we're going to get a little bit more clarification here, but I do think this is a time marker. I have a feeling that whatever's going to get declassed will eventually get put here. And Q has sort of predicted that a lot of different platforms are going to go down likely before this happens. And it appears to be the case in New Zealand. Now, for those of you who are following in New Zealand, of course, we know that we had this really terrible situation with the shooting at the mosque. And although I think a lot of us think that there's definitely some suspect situation going on there, from what I understand, 8chan is now down in New Zealand. Now, if you're living in New Zealand and it's working for you, please let us know. But that is the report that I'm getting, that from many people in New Zealand, 8chan is already out. So the panic is real. And as that panic gets real, likely could be QMAP, could be whatever board you read QAnon from, may start to go down. But they are definitely trying to attack 8chan, and like this shooter over there in New Zealand, he had referenced 8chan, which is why we think this is also suspect. We also know that one of our least favorite deep state knuckleheaded Power Rangers was out there in New Zealand just days before. That's right, John Podesta praises superstar Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. Hillary Clinton's former presidential campaign manager has labeled Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern a superstar. John Podesta, who was the White House chief of staff to President Bill Clinton and a counselor to President Barack Obama, told News Talk ZB Heather Duplessis Elan that Ardern had given hope to social democrats around the world. Okay, so while the rest of the Democrats are freaking out about how to get rid of President Trump, John Podesta's out there doing some social humanitarian work and praising this social democrat. Outstanding. And just days later, we get this incident at this mosque. Now, let me just take you back for some perspective. Way back, we had the Sony hack, right, with all those different celebrities, and they make PlayStation. Q had mentioned the PlayStation comms. Q had also mentioned Xbox comms in which James Comey, Bruce Orr, Christopher Steele, a lot of these knuckleheads were communicating on these video game comms, thinking they were getting around the NSA. We've talked about this at great length, right? So, back in August, Q talks about the Xbox comms, and we get a major Xbox blackout within hours. Now, earlier this week, Q starts talking about Facebook, DARPA, CIA, LifeLog, the entire connection. What happens next? Massive blackout. Everyone's cleaning up their comms. Now, in New Zealand, this is a much bigger deal, right? Because New Zealand was one of those official and unofficial Five Eyes country, right? It was one of those countries in which these knuckleheads could go to skirt the NSA and use their quote-unquote security clearance to get access to information that they weren't supposed to be selling or sharing so that they could sell or share. You picking up what I'm putting down? So I suppose the kind of cleanup that you'd have to do out there in New Zealand would be much, much bigger. And if you want to do that, you're probably going to have to black some things out, like 8chan. And you're probably going to need a massive distraction, like a shooting in a mosque. And you're probably going to have to pin it on somebody, like a white supremacist that was talking about 8chan. I think you see where we're going with this. This is an attack on Q. This is an attack on 8chan. This is an attack on you and me. Next post, 3081, 7 minutes after the hour of 12, we get this link right here to the Daily Mail, and we're talking about Facebook and the messaging app WhatsApp. Delete Facebook now. WhatsApp co-founder accuses Mark Zuckerberg of trading privacy for revenue after allowing ads on the platform. And we talked briefly about this yesterday too, how some of the people from WhatsApp and Facebook are all leaving. Lots of people are starting to sell their shares. WhatsApp co-founder Brian Acton urged people to delete their Facebook accounts now during an address made to students. Mr. Acton, now the head of nonprofit WhatsApp rival Signal, blasted Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg for trading privacy for revenue by allowing ads on his platform. He has now called for people to reject Facebook by deleting its family of apps from their smartphones and other devices. Okay, so let's get to the why. The former CEO said that he did not agree with Facebook monetizing strategy on WhatsApp. Jan Koum, WhatsApp's co-founder, also left Facebook a year later in 2018 because he reportedly didn't agree with their approach to user data and privacy. Both Mr. Acton and Mr. Koum had tried to find a way to monetize WhatsApp without bombarding users with adverts. He said that he pushed for a business model that would charge WhatsApp users $1 a year to use the app, as the company did in its early days. And that was really popular, actually. And of course, Facebook wanted to make tons of money, and they allowed ads on it and turned it into another version of LifeLog, right? That's essentially what we're talking about. Q says dark to light. Post 3082, 9 minutes after the hour of 12, we get more dark to light in a Twitter handle of Josh Hawley, who posts this. Must-watch video. Joint Chiefs Chairman says Google refuses to work with U.S. military, but provides direct benefit to China's military. And we're talking a little bit about their Google out there called Dragonfly. Check it out.
The work that Google is doing in China is indirectly benefiting the Chinese military. And I've been very public on this issue as well. In fact, the way I described it to our industry partners is, look, we're the good guys. In the values that we represent, in the system that we represent, is the one that will allow and has allowed you to thrive. And that's the way I've characterized it. So I was just nodding that what the Secretary was articulating is a general sense of all of us as leaders, and we watch with great concern when industry partners work in China, knowing that there is that indirect benefit. In fact, frankly, indirect may be not a full characterization of the way it really is. It's more of a direct benefit to the Chinese military.
I just want to underscore this for the record so that we are absolutely, perfectly, 100% clear here that Google, an American company based in this country, so again, it's supposedly an American company, is doing work in China that directly or indirectly benefits the Chinese government at a time of increased peer competition with this country. We are in a struggle with the Chinese government over whether or not they're going to become a regional and maybe global hegemon with values very different from ours, certainly values that do not favor freedom in the world and we have an American company that does not want to do work with our Defense Department, which is one thing, but they're happy to help the Chinese, at least the Chinese government, that is, the Chinese military, at least indirectly. I think that's just extraordinary.
Well, there's not much I can add there that Mr. Hawley didn't already state. While the deep state's been crying Russia, 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 we've known all along that the secrets were being sold to China, China, China. And most certainly they do not have good plans for you and me, right? Q says dark to light. Moving on to 3083, 10 minutes after the hour of 12. Q simply says, these people are sick and evil. It's funny. It's like almost like I know someone else who says that sometimes. It is not a coincidence. It never is. And I think we're probably talking about that situation out there in New Zealand. Let's move on to 3084. 24 minutes after the hour 1, we get another Twitter status right here, and this is to the Senate Judiciary status. Today, Chairman Lindsey Graham sent a letter to AG Barr requesting documents related to alleged discussions between high-ranking Justice Department officials about invoking the 25th Amendment, to remove the President of the United States. And let's take a look-see, shall we? Now, these are a little bit low resolution here. Dear Attorney General Barr, as you are undoubtedly aware, during a recent interview on 60 Minutes, former acting director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Andrew McCabe, explained how Deputy Attorney General Rod Rowe discussed with him and others within the Department of Justice the possibility of removing the President of the United States by invoking the 25th Amendment. In addition, Mr. McCabe described how the Deputy Attorney General, in a manner that was absolutely serious, offered to wear a wire into the White House to record the president and gather evidence against him. Okay, so let's do a little synopsis of what they're asking for here. Number 1, all documents and communications commonly referred to as the McCabe memos, clever name, written by Mr. McCabe, to memorialize discussions, meetings, or correspondence he had with senior government officials, including the president. Number 2, documents and communications sufficient to show the names, titles, and business addresses of all personnel who participated in any meeting that included Deputy Attorney General Rod Rowe, Mr. McCabe, between May 9th of 2017 and May 17th of 2017. Hello! Number 3, all documents and communications referring or relating to a meeting or meetings that included Mr. McCabe and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rowe, during which the 25th Amendment, taping conversations with the president, or opening an obstruction of justice investigation related to the removal of Director Comey were discussed. Number 4, all documents and communications created on or after May 9, 2017, referring or relating to the 25th Amendment. Number 5, all documents and communications created on or after May 9, 2017, referring or relating to recording conversations with the president. Number 6, any opinion prepared by the Office of Legal Counsel or any other entity within the department referring or relating to the 25th Amendment. Number 7, all documents and communications relied upon by FBI's Office of Professional Responsibility in reaching its decision to recommend the dismissal of Mr. McCabe, including the Office of Professional Responsibility report on Mr. McCabe. Signed, one Lindsey O. Graham. Very nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can be looking forward to those documents really, really soon, no later than the 29th, or else somebody's going to be in trouble. And of course, that is hopefully going to give us a little bit of information in regards to between Rod Rowe, Andrew McCabe, and James Comey, who's telling the truth and who is not. Let's move on to 3085, 25 minutes after the hour 1. We get this Twitter status right here to Enoch on Twitter. And that's Qbert. Remember Qbert? I think they all need to watch that video Q Plus linked us to. And this is in regards to a post from the 12th, where Q posted this Donald Trump video 12 times. Now, at the time, Q was talking about Barack Obama, and I showed you that 12 seconds in was again a reference to Barack Obama. This Anon has another interesting theory here, and it seems to work out pretty well. Put it next to the breaking 911 tweet here on the right. Senate votes 59-41 for terminating President Trump's border emergency declaration. 12 Republicans joined all Democrats in voting for the resolution, and these were our Republican yes votes. Look at that. Alexander, Blunt, Collins, Lee, Moran, Murkowski, Paul, Portman, Romney, Rubio, Toomey, and Wicker. So very nice catch there, Anon, and that seems to be the case because Q confirms and just simply says Q. So Looks like Q was calling that out all along, but I'm afraid that's just not going to go down. We're going to talk a little bit more about that emergency declaration in just a few minutes here, but let's move on to 3086, 26 minutes after the hour of 1. Q is telling the 8chan board operator, whose name is Code Monkey, to stay alert. And like I said earlier, they are going straight for 8chan. This is really sort of the last refuge, isn't it? And they're going to attack it with everything that they've got. So I have a feeling we're going to see probably a lot of changes, a lot of security tests upcoming and whatnot. But that is Code Monkey. And thanks for all you do, Code Monkey. Let's move on to 3087. 48 minutes after the hour of 1. Nothing to see here, just 2 random call signs logged today. And here are the screenshots from Civ Mil Air. And it looks like the first one is U.S. Air Force C-5 Galaxy, titled Q. And the other one is a U.S. Army 35A, entitled Anon. How about that? Let's see if we can find it there on the right. You can see it's a little bit blurry. It says Anon right there. This one is entitled Q. So, Q haters. Here we have a United States Air Force plane and a United States Army plane named Q and Anon in the skies around the same time. Want to go ahead and explain that, Q haters? Anyone? Anyone? We'll wait. All right, well, look, it looks like about an hour or two in between this plane. This one started at 9:51 p.m. This one started at just about 8 p.m. right there, 7:59. So pretty darn close if you ask me. And Q says, powerful statement of UNITY Q. Post 3088, 51 minutes after the hour 1, responding to an Anon who says, you're slipping, boss. Already made notes. Cut. Q says, busy saving humanity. Q. Post 3089, 3 minutes after the hour of 2. Q adds on to post 3087, where we saw these airplane call signs right here. And this is an excerpt from an interview with POTUS and Breitbart. A quote from POTUS: I have the support of the police, the support of the military, the support of the bikers for Trump. I have the tough people, but they don't play it tough until they go to a certain point, and then it would be very bad, he told Breitbart on Thursday, and then tweeted out the remark. Coordinated, same day. How much more obvious can we make it? Well, it's about as obvious as it gets, right? We're seeing signs all over the place. We're seeing Q signs, all kinds of references. And like I said earlier, look, haters, I don't know what else to tell you. You tell me why that happens like that, right? Exactly. And this is just their way of showing the support for the POTUS. It's very, very clear. POTUS does have the support of the military. POTUS does have support of the police. And we see it in signs multiple times every single day. And here's another classic example, a tweet from the U.S. Army from the 15th. The U.S. flag stands for our nation and the shared history, pride, principles, and commitment of its people. Do you know how to properly display the flag? Interesting timing there, U.S. Army. How about that? And look at that. There's our flag right there. Where have we seen that before? Post 3090, 31 minutes after the hour of 2, we get a security test. Security test 1. And I would imagine this is a security test regarding 8chan. After all, Q had given Code Monkey the heads up. Let's move on to the next post. We get the second one. 3091, 33 minutes after the hour 2, security test 2, relay _Q. So likely testing the integrity of the boards, I would imagine. Let's move on to 3092. 58 minutes after the hour 2, we see the watch. This was one of the first times we saw the watch, right? And we see the pen, the EO pen, and then we've got an open book right here. And this was the post. It was entitled TikTok. The clock is ticking. If we were merely a so-called conspiracy, fake news narrative, why the daily attacks by the biggest media companies in the world? Attempt to control, you are the news now. And then we get this right here from Twitter. And it takes you to a new Twitter account, POTUS_schedule at 45_schedule. And they post March 15th, 2019. Declaration of a national emergency on the southern border was authorized by U.S. Attorney General William Barr in the Oval Office at 3:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Very nice. Well, this was a good decision indeed. And I have to tell you, I'm personally rather happy that the POTUS schedule Twitter is back up, even though it's a new account. But Q is pointing to it. Now, a lot of people have always given me a hard time on the previous one because it didn't have a check mark or whatnot. But I always felt like it had really good information. It always seemed to be really pertinent and seemed to have a beat of what's going on. And I love that Q is linking this one here. It's good to have the POTUS schedule back. Always good information over there. So, 3:42 p.m., huh? How about that? That's the same time as this watch right here, 3:42. My goodness. Q says, marker 1 complete.
Round 2, fight! Psycho Crusher!
Post 3093, 1 minute after the hour 3, Q adds on with the other picture that was pointing to 3:15. And Q says, on March 15, 3:15, Q. Well played, POTUS. The veto is definitely needed. And of course, the Democrats are going to fight this. And here's a good summary from the POTUS schedule once again. The action by POTUS sends the measure back to Congress, where the House, controlled by the Democrats, is expected to take it up again on March 26. But it's predicted the chamber will not have enough votes to override the veto. Nice. Very nice. Let's go ahead and move on to the next post here. And we get a graphic putting this together. 38 minutes after the hour 3, and Anon takes these two pictures, the watch number 1, which showed the time of 3:15, posted on January 5th, 2019. And then you've got the watch number 2 with the time of 3:42, post on March 2nd, 2019. And it corresponds with the 3:42 on the watch, the 3:42 that the time was signed, and the 3:15 corresponding with the date. Q says the real fun starts soon. Well, I like fun, don't you? Post 3095, 8 minutes after the hour of 4, we get this Fox News link right here. Court files reveal role of McCain associate in spreading anti-Trump dossier. Newly unsealed court filings show how the late Senator John McCain of Arizona and an associate shared with the FBI and a host of media outlets the unverified dossier that alleged the Russians had compromising information on now President Trump. McCain had denied being the source for BuzzFeed as it published the dossier, which was funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, but had acknowledged giving it to the FBI, so he did have it. In a newly unsealed declaration from September, former senior counterintelligence FBI agent, guess who? Bill Priestap. Boy, we were just talking about how we were going to get some information coming in from him yesterday. Confirmed that the FBI received a copy of the first 33 pages of the dossier in December 2016 from McCain. In another filing, David Kramer, and we've been getting his information coming in too. A former State Department official and McCain associate said at a December 13, 2017 deposition that the dossier was given to him by author and former British spy Christopher Steele, which he then provided to more than a dozen journalists as outlets including CNN, BuzzFeed, and the Washington Post. The details were first reported by the Daily Caller. The report was also shared with State Department official Victoria Nuland, Obama National Security official Celeste Wallander, and Representative Adam Kinzinger. The filings were unsealed as part of an ongoing libel case against BuzzFeed by a Russian businessman. In his deposition, Kramer said that McCain gave a copy of the dossier to then FBI Director James Comey on December 9th. Kramer told investigators that it was a sense from Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson that having Senator McCain provide it to the FBI would give it a little bit more oomph than it had up until that point.
It doesn't have enough.
I think they felt a senior Republican was better to be the recipient of this rather than a Democrat, because if it were a Democrat, I think that the view was that it would have been dismissed as a political attack, he said. Okay, well, I don't really know that I would call McCain a true Republican. Kramer also described how BuzzFeed News reporter Ken Benzinger came to get hold of the dossier before the outlet became the first to publish it in its entirety. He said that he showed Benzinger the dossier in December at the McCain Institute, but did not allow him to take pictures of it. But Kramer said he left Benzinger alone to read the memos, and that time Benzinger took photos of the dossier. So let me get this straight. Hey, dude, don't take pictures of this, okay? I'm going to go to the restroom for about 7 minutes, and I would sure hate it if you took pictures of this. All right, well, you see what's going on. Kramer said he panicked when he saw that BuzzFeed News had published the document in its entirety online on January 10th and immediately sought to have it taken down. Okay, so how about that? More information waterfall in the form of this Kramer testimony, and it now looks like we're starting to spill over into Bill Priestap, which we've kind of been expecting, right? Interesting indeed. Let's move on to 3096. And we get this Twitter link right here to the Justice Department. Former Defense Intelligence Officer pleads guilty to attempted espionage. Ron Rockwell Hansen, 58, a resident of Syracuse, Utah, and a former Defensive Intelligence Agency officer, pleaded guilty today in the District of Utah in connection with his attempted transmission of national defense information to the People's Republic of China. Wow, it's almost like we were just talking about that earlier. Sentencing is set for September 24, 2019. Assistant Attorney General for National Security John C. Demers, U.S. Attorney John Huber for the District of Utah, and Special Agent in Charge Paul Hertel of the FBI Salt Lake City Field Office announced the charges. Hansen retired from the U.S. Army as a warrant officer with a background in signals intelligence and human intelligence. He speaks fluent Mandarin Chinese and Russian. How convenient. DIA hired Hansen as a civilian intelligence case officer in 2006. Hansen held a top secret clearance for many years and signed several non-disclosure agreements during his tenure at DIA and as a government contractor. As Hansen admitted in the plea agreement, in early 2014, agents of a Chinese intelligence service targeted Hansen for recruitment, and he began meeting with them regularly in China. During those meetings, the Chinese agents described to Hansen the type of information that would interest the Chinese intelligence service. During the course of his relationship with the agents of the Chinese intelligence service, Hansen received hundreds of thousands of dollars in compensation for information he provided them, including information he gathered at various industry conferences. Between May 24, 2016, and June 2, 2018, Hansen solicited from an intelligence case officer working for the DIA National Defense information that Hansen knew the Chinese intelligence service would find valuable. Hansen agreed to act as a conduit to sell that information to the Chinese. Hansen advised the DIA case officer how to record and transmit classified information without detection and explained how to hide and launder any funds received as payment for classified information. The DIA case officer reported Hansen's conduct to the DIA and subsequently acted as a confidential human source for the FBI.
Final round, fight! Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! You lose.
Very nice. And of course, that went down in the great state of Utah. That's Huber territory right there. And I think that's what Q is pointing us out to let us know that Huber is indeed doing what he needs to do. And those are your Q posts. Looks like we're going to be getting a lot more dumps over the next few weeks. And now Bill Priestap is coming out. So tons more testimony to go over, tons more information to go over, but it all looks really good. And it looks like the walls are finally starting to come down as we distribute some of this bacony, cheesy goodness. All right, kids, those are your Q posts for today. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who do that already. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're new to this channel, welcome to you. Please keep in mind, from time to time, you're going to get unclicked and unnotified and unsubscribed. That's how social media works these days. Just keep searching me out and you'll find me. Keep clicking yourself again and resubscribing yourself again. I greatly appreciate the effort. Thanks so much. And all my other alternate links are down below. My Gab, my BitChute, my Brighteon.com, still there for a couple more days, but still not able to log into it. And of course, I'm over here at Twitter at IPOT1776, where so much of this goes down. Won't you please join me at Twitter at IPOT1776. And if you'd like to email me some information, my email is down below. My P.O. box is down below if you're old school and want to send me something. And if you'd like to support my channel, my Patreon link is down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. All those links are down below. And I'm also going to leave you to the link to this right here if you guys want to check this out. All that stuff will be down below. All right, kids, this is Sir Patrick Mack, and until next time, stay free.